Hello! Welcome back to my Flosstube channel. My name is Sarah, otherwise known as Little Snips, and today is episode 26, and it is January 24th, 2018, so welcome to the show. First things first, I want to say to all of you who have recently joined my channel, welcome. I hope that you are finding something that you enjoy about the videos that I've done in the past, whether those be Diamond Tube videos, my diamond painting series, or Bling With Me videos, or my older Flosstube videos. I'm glad you're here. Thank you very much for taking a chance on a new Flosstuber to you. And feel free to let me know what you think, what you want to see more of, what you'd like to hear less about. Let me know, I don't know, just let me know what you like or what you don't like. I am completely open to comments. I'm completely open to having conversations. I've been not so great about that in the past, but I'm trying to get better about it. So feel free to comment. Please like. Again, I know a lot of you have already subscribed. If you are thinking about it and you're on the fence, subscribe. It's not going to cost you anything, and you can always go back and unsubscribe later if you decide I'm not quite to your taste. Just for those of you who are new, since I haven't said this for a while, I do record in my craft room / snake room. I am a hobby snake breeder and have been for several years, so the boxes you see behind me, no, over on this side, the boxes you see behind me do have snakes in them. As I have said in the past, if you've watched my videos, or since I'm saying this because I haven't for a while, if you see something move behind me, please don't be frightened, please don't be panicked. I do not have any venomous snakes. I have corn snakes, I have ball pythons, and I have sand boas. None of them hurt if they bite you. Sometimes you do get bitten, that's just sort of a thing that happens when you're in the snake hobby. But they don't hurt, they don't really draw blood, they're certainly not injecting anything into me, so don't worry that anything's like sneaking up behind me and gonna attack me. I apologize if you see something move and that bothers you. I know that there are people who have snake phobias, perfectly valid phobias. I don't bring the snakes out unless I warn you in advance. I have shown the snakes a few times, but I don't just randomly throw a snake in the screen and try to frighten you. So, I promise you that there will be fair warning if I do that again. I do want to introduce you to a couple more snakes during the year. If we breed, I want to show you some of the babies, though we have sort of a medical condition going on in our collection, so don't know if that's going to happen this year. But, fair warning, you know, if I move and you see somebody peeking over my shoulder or whatever, it's just because they're curious about what I'm doing in the room. That does not involve giving them food. They are always ready to eat. So, that's just a disclaimer. I promise you, again, not going to surprise you with any sort of wiggly things, but you may see movement, so. Fairly warned, fairly armed, all that kind of fun stuff. I have a lot to show you today. I have quite a bit of stitching that I've done in the last couple of weeks because I'm trying to be better about being productive and actually doing things. I have a tiny little bit of haul to show you. I have some some informational things I want to talk to you about. And, of course, I have the giveaway. Are the giveaway winners from my last episode, and we'll do some new giveaways this episode. I also think I'm going to get into the whole booktube thing, where people talk about what they're reading. I'm not going to go into extensive detail. I don't feel like I need to do full reviews, because that's not what you're here for. But I will let you know what I'm reading. I will tell you that mostly I listen to books on audio anymore. Nowadays, I used to be a big actual physical book reader. I have a lot of books still in boxes and things that I have collected over the years. I am an author, was an author. I have a lot of writer friends. I have collected books from them. But that's for later. I said I was going to talk about that later, and then I started talking about it. So, isn't that always the way? Right, so, let me check my phone because this is where I have my notes today. And figure out what exactly it was I wanted to talk to you about. Right. If you are familiar with Stitcherista, Danielle, you know that she has in the past told you about the amazing thing that she's seen recently. The great news, she talks about the news in stitching, in the stitching community, but she also shows you fantastic projects or finishes that other people have done. And I wanted to tell you about one that I saw recently. If you are familiar with Arizona Needleworker, I think her channel name is AZ Needleworker. I will link it in the notes below. But she recently came back from a little break in making Flosstube videos, and when she came back, she brought... Sorry, I'm like framed weirdly today, so the angle's a little strange. I apologize if I keep looking over to the side and trying to verify where I am in the screen. But anyway, I forget what her name is. I knew a second ago and it slipped right out of my brain. Tape recorder. It'll come back if I need it. But anyway, she recently finished her medieval town mandala by Chatelaine, and oh my goodness. I literally gasped out loud when she stood up and showed us this thing on screen. So I will do my best to insert a picture of it if I can find a good picture of it. If I can't, again, I will link to her Flosstube channel and you can go and watch the video for yourself. She has also posted it, I know, in Stitch Mania, I think. Yeah, you should check it out. If you are on the fence about doing chatelaine patterns, they are expensive to kit up. I know I'm kitting one up right now. They're expensive to kit up or to buy through European Cross Stitch if you just want to have somebody else do it for you. They are big, they are complicated, they are intimidating. Trust me, I'm intimidated, but they're beautiful. And nothing shows that off more than Arizona Needleworker's finish because it's stunning. So again, I will try to find a picture of that. If I can't, go look at her video, go watch her video and see for yourself because, yeah, breathtaking. The next thing I wanted to talk about, I did the mouth thing again, sorry. The next thing I want to talk about, I mentioned that I was going to work on the Celestial Dragon by Teresa Wenzler that I started many years ago and didn't finish. That is on my Year of Whips for 2018. It is on my list to finish or at least get some decent progress on it this year. But I lost the pattern. Somewhere along the way, the pattern disappeared. So I fortunately know that you can buy many Teresa Wenzler patterns online now. She no longer designs. I believe she retired to do some artwork, and I don't know if she's doing artwork anymore, but she no longer designs cross-stitch patterns. However, you can still get them on eBay or sometimes through Etsy or whatever. Stash Unload sometimes has them. But you can also get them digitally on Patterns Online. Now, I wanted to just give you a little heads up about how Patterns Online works. Patterns Online is, obviously it's a pattern store, but it is connected directly to PC Stitch, the PC Stitch software program that you can get for your laptops and iPads and things like that. So when you buy a pattern from Patterns Online, the file that you download, so you download the file to your computer, the file that you download is not, as I mistakenly thought, a PDF, which can be read in an Acrobat Adobe Reader or something like that. It is not a PDF, it is a PVF, which is a file that is proprietarily used by the PC Stitch software. So you need to have the viewer, at the very least, in order to be able to see the pattern that you have purchased from Patterns Online. Now, you can download that to your laptop. I believe there's a plugin that will go into your web browser, but maybe not. But you can download that to your laptop. You can download a free copy of PC Stitch, an unregistered copy of PC Stitch, and you can open that file and you will be able to see the pattern. The problem that I discovered with that process is that you cannot modify the pattern, so you can't zoom in on it if you have an unregistered copy. If you have a registered copy of PC Stitch, I assume that this is, you can do whatever you can't modify the pattern because the file is deliberately locked down, so you can't change it. But I'm sure that if you have a registered copy of PC Stitch, you can zoom in on the pattern, you can make it easier to see. My version, which is not registered because I downloaded it specifically newly, it wasn't on my laptop, so my version is not registered. My version makes it so you cannot zoom in on it. You can't zoom in, you can't modify it at all. You can't print the pattern, which is what I wanted to do. So I had to sort of take it on faith. I mean, you can't zoom in to see what you're printing. I had to sort of take it on faith that I could read the pattern as it was printed from the software, and I did print it out, and it is legible, but it took some convincing myself that it would be okay. It took some jumping through hoops, so it's just fair warning. I'm not telling you not to buy patterns from Patterns Online. Please do. I mean, you have access to things that you might not find otherwise. I'm not telling you not to use PC Stitch. There's nothing wrong with the site. There's nothing wrong with the software. I'm just telling you that if you buy a pattern from Patterns Online, you may have to jump through a couple extra hoops before you can use it. So, I didn't know that. I thought I would pass that on to you. Hope that helps somebody. And Flosstube itchy nose. Excuse me. Ugh. Right, the next thing. Oh, and my notepad shut down, so I gotta open that up again, sorry. Right. There are a couple more stitch-alongs that I wanted to tell you about. The first of which is that Julia Line, who is the designer behind Long Dog Samplers, who is the publisher. Long Dog Samplers is the publisher of things like Death by Cross Stitch, Castles in the Air, hoity-toity, things that people have talked about, and you have seen on many people's Flosstube videos. Julia is doing a stitch-along this year. It is I believe it's a year-long stitch-along, a 12-month stitch-along. I will find the information, and again, I will post it in the information section down below. But it is being hosted on a Facebook group. The information that was initially sent out about it made it look like you could only buy the stitch-along if you bought the chart and had it sent to you with the fabric and the floss and all of that. That's not the case. You can buy a PDF version of the pattern, just the pattern, and then you can kit it up with your own flosses and your own fabric. I believe it's $22 for the entire stitch-along. So it is a one-time payment fee. It is not, you don't have to pay every month. It's one time, just like most stitch-alongs are. And it's a Long Dog sampler. I mean, if you are into Long Dog samplers, this is sort of an exciting thing. I don't personally know if I'm going to do it because I have a lot of things that I'm working on this year already. I'm working on stitch-alongs already that I may not be able to keep up with, even though I've cut back severely from last year. So I'm not going to add that one necessarily, but I may buy it and then just collect the pieces so I have it later. In addition to that, and this is something that I was not going to talk about, but I'm going to because I'm thinking about it. In addition, Julia has let slip, or other people who are in the know have let slip, that there is a new Long Dog pattern coming next month, I believe. So, and that one, for those of you who like architecture, that one has a house in it. I have seen the teaser image for it, and I'll try to find that too. If I can find it and I can insert it, I will do that. If I can't, I will link to the information again. But there is another Long Dog sampler pattern coming this year, just for your information. The other stitch-along is that Michelle Sayeda, and I think that's how you say her last name. If it's not, I apologize for butchering it. But Michelle from Heaven and Earth Designs is doing another stitch-along this year. Now, the one she did last year was All Creatures Great and Small, and I have seen the finished stitch-along, this finished sampler, and I'm kind of disappointed that I didn't buy it. But that one was a pay stitch-along, and was a year-long stitch-along. It is finished now, it is completed, and it's, again, if I can find the picture, I will insert it. If I can't, I will definitely at least link to the information in the notes. But it turned out really nicely. She is doing another stitch-along. This one is Flowers, I believe, and it is a free stitch-along. So I will link to a Facebook group that has been set up for it. It begins, I believe, in April, and it is, again, a year-long stitch-along. But this one is free. There's no charge for it. You just have to join the Facebook group and then stitch along if you're interested when it starts. So, there will be a link. Was there anything else? I think that's it. I think that's all I wanted to talk about. Information-wise, at least. So, I will go ahead and get started on the stitching and try not to be freaked out by the fact that my hands are mostly below the area where the camera can see it. So I'm going to have to lift them up so you can see them. I do have hands, but I've got the camera set up differently every time. Every time, guys. It's different every time. What can I tell you? Right, so stitching. I have done, as I said at the beginning, I've done quite a lot of stitching in the last couple of weeks. I have been using a tracker that I am obviously using to keep track of my stitching, right? That was brilliant. Like, you couldn't have figured that out on your own. But I think the tracker is actually helping me be more productive, which was the point in using it. That's why I decided I wanted to use it. So I've done a lot of stitching, and I'm going to show it to you, and this video might be on the long side for me. Hopefully not an hour and a half like the last one, but it might be on the long side. So the first thing I'm going to show you is the stitch along that I have actually finished for this month, and that is the Guardians of Notre Dame by Ingleside Imaginarium, Brittany's stitch along for this year. This is a stitch along that the border is the rose window from Notre Dame, and the panels in the window are going to be gargoyles, figures, for the next 12 months. I finished January. This is what he looks like. Blah. There you go. And you cover up my face, and maybe it will be a little clearer. Probably not, because my camera doesn't really work like that, I guess, but that's what he looks like. Obviously, I only have part of the border finished, but that is the completed month of January, and I have to tell you, I am in love with this stitch along. As I have said several places, several times, I really love gargoyles. I really love stained glass, which I haven't said before, but I really love stained glass. So the fact that this is a combination of the two, they are to look like panes of stained glass in the window frame, and they're gargoyles. So it's sort of perfect for me, and I love it, and I cannot wait to see the rest of the months. The colors that she's using, that she gave us in the border chart, are sort of muted, as you would expect when it's supposed to be stained glass, that light can in theory come through. Muted colors, but they're beautiful, and I expect this to be one of my absolute favorite projects that I ever finish. And I'm hoping to be able to keep on top of it and have it done at the end of the year so I can show all of you. So that was the first piece. The second piece, and this is, I said I was going to try to do better at this, so I will remind you, this is stitched on 28 count even weave from Color and Cotton. The colorway is Ruins. And if I can remember to put pictures in, I will for all of these projects. Some of these I don't feel, though. I might show you what the completed project is supposed to look like, but some of these I don't feel like I necessarily need to because there's not been that much progress, or all you're going to see is black. I have several Heaven and Earth designs that have been started, and most of the ones that I have and that I tend to like are the ones that start with a corner of black. I start in the upper left-hand corner, and a lot of them have just black or black and navy blue in the upper left-hand corner until you get to the actual subject of the project. And do you need to see before and after pictures if all I'm stitching is black and navy blue? Not so sure about that. Like this one. This is my Story Keep White Nine-Tailed Fox by Stephanie Law. When I showed it to you last time, I had, as I said, a tiny little block of black in the corner that I had started. I did stitch on this for another day. I did get a little more done. And the camera helps. Let me see if I can hold you. The camera helps so that you can see a little bit of the blue and gray that's coming in, but basically it's black and navy blue. What I did do, and you're not going to be able to see it, even if I put this really close to the camera, you're not going to be able to tell the difference, which is part of the reason why I did it. I started this as half stitch, as doing tent stitch, and discovered on my Shakespeare piece that it feels or looks to me like the fabric has warped a little bit because I'm doing that in tent stitch as well. So I thought I would try this one in 1/1, full cross. because it's a small piece and it won't drive me crazy to do stitches, to cross all of my stitches. I'm also doing it with one strand of floss, so it's small enough that the thread is small enough that it's not going to get really bulky, I think. We'll see, I'll let you know. But there you go again. One more shot of Story Keep White Ninetail Fox on 25 count Lugana. This one I will show you a before and after, though even though I'm going to show you a before and after, I will show you where I was on this project, which is my Hufflepuff by Stitchering. I'll show you where I was before here. And then excuse me, I will show you where I am when I get this fabric folded. I will show you where I am now. Ta-da! So, let me fold this again so I can actually show you what I did. You just saw the picture, so you probably don't really need me to do that. But no, I'm not. Yes, I am. The fabric will cooperate with me because I am the boss of the fabric. So, anyway, this part, there's my finger. The scroll work part is what got filled in this project's rotation. I had a little bit of the scroll work done, some very thin stitches, as you saw when you saw the picture, but I got more of the scroll work done. I told you before that I was working on this on 18 count Aida. That's not true. I don't know why I said it was 18 count Aida, because it's obviously not true. This is actually 28 count even weave. I believe it's probably a piece of the MCG Textiles even weave. It does not appear to be making a difference in this particular project, so there you go. Now you are up to date, and you have the truth about Hufflepuff. That's for a friend of mine. I am not posting pictures of this on Instagram because she occasionally looks at Instagram, so I don't want her to see it until it's done, at least as much as possible. So yeah. This one, sorry, I did it again. This one is a new start. So I will insert a picture of the project, what it will look like when it's finished. And the project is Ravenkin by Selena Fennick, and it will look like this. In theory, it'll look like that anyway. Hopefully it will look like that. This is where I am. This was a new start. This was my year of starts on the 18th of January. And like I said, many of my Heaven and Earth designs start with, in the upper left-hand corner, they start with black. Guess what? That's black. So not that exciting to look at right now. Because I'm doing a mini, it will get to the picture pretty quickly. The actual image, that central figure that you saw, we'll get to that on the page 2. I just have to get through the first page. But that means that it's not very exciting right now. Again, upper left-hand corner, on a piece of 25 count Lugana. This is another one where I will show you a before picture. This is my Death by Cross Stitch, and it looked like this the last time you saw it. And here it is. Oops. Let me fold this again, because if you have watched older videos of mine, you know that I had a false start at the top of this piece of fabric, and then I started over because I realized I was too close to the border. So, this is where I am on Death by Cross Stitch now. So as you can see, if I can do this, right. Nope, wrong hand. I was right the first time. I finished another row. So I finished this row, finished that completely, and I started on the next row. I think I have another row after this that I need to do. But I got a pretty good chunk. I'm trying to hold that straight. Got a pretty good chunk of that done compared to the last time you saw it. This is also on a piece of 28 count even weave. I know for a fact that this is the MCG Textiles that I got from, I don't know if I got it from Michael's or Joann's, but this is MCG Textiles. I know that for a fact. It doesn't bother me on this piece. Not worried about it. I'm not necessarily going to go out and collect more, but not worried about it for this. And I am doing this in, I'm doing it single color, obviously. as you can see, and that is DMC 400. So it's a very nice ruddy brown, and I love that color. Fortunately, because I'm going to need a lot of it. The next one. This is another one of my stitch-alongs that I am pretty sure I'm not going to finish in time. Will not have this done by the end of the month. Mostly because it's really big. And because I'm a slow stitcher, and because I've done a lot of other stitching. But I'm hoping I'm going to get more of this done. I'm still going to stitch on it through the end of the month. And we'll see how far I get and how much catch-up I have to do when the February pattern comes out on the 2018 Linen and Threads stitch-along. This, again, is a free stitch-along. This year's theme is Medieval Menagerie, so it looks, at least the beginning of it, looks more like a medieval tapestry. There will be animals, there will be critters, there is a person in it, but yeah. So this is where I am, and do I need to... I don't think I need to show you where I was last time because I didn't have much done. I really didn't. I just had a little tiny corner done. I still have a corner done. It's a bigger corner now, though. And let me fold this over. I'm not going to say... this is fabric that I dyed myself. It is 18 count Aida. It is a gorgeous burgundy red color, and it does show up on the video better than I think it does every time I see it on camera when I'm recording, so you're probably seeing a pretty accurate color. But that is where I am. That's what I've gotten done so far. So I think last time I had just the very barest corner done here. So obviously I've done more. This is the left-hand side. It's big, guys. If you haven't seen it, go check out the Linen and Threads Facebook group. I will link that again. It's a big pattern. It's bigger than the one last year, and last year was pretty big. I think, though, I cut the fabric, and I think I cut the fabric too big. I was looking at the measurements and looking at it in comparison with last year's stitch-along, and I have been saying that it's going to fill this whole piece of fabric, which is, as I have shown you before, it's a big piece of fabric. I mean, it's big. And I have said that it's going to fill the whole piece of fabric. I don't think that's the case. I think it's actually going to fill about half of the fabric. So that makes me feel a little bit better and a little bit silly since I was, going on and on about how big a piece of fabric I needed. That does mean, though, that I have a piece of this really pretty fabric to use for something else, which I will find. And yeah, so I don't think I'm going to finish that one for January. We'll see. I have another one that I need to finish, which I'm going to show you next. And I'm not sure I'm going to finish this one either. But this one is more likely than the Linen and Threads. So the next one I'm going to show you is the Modern Folk Embroidery Sal. It is a four seasons themed stitch-along. This one you pay for every month, but you pay a tiny amount of money every month for the monthly pattern. So will I show you where I was last time? I guess I will. I wasn't very far, but here you go. This is where I was last time you saw it. And this is where I am now. So I have gotten into this habit of working on the diagonal, and that's mostly because of my Heaven and Earth designs, but I work on the diagonal on everything. I don't know it. Magpie Brain is currently fascinated by angles and diagonals, I guess. That's how I'm going to explain it. Anyway, this is how far I've gotten. I still have to do quite a significant amount of stitching on that, so I don't know that I'm going to finish it before the end of the month, but I'm going to try. This is being stitched on 16 count white Aida. It is being stitched with Royal Blue Navy Blendables by Sulky, so the multicolored cotton thread that we talked about a lot last year. It is only slightly variegated, so you can see there's not a lot of variegation in there, which is fine. It gives a little bit of interest to the blue, but it doesn't make it wildly variegated, which is great for this kind of sampler and for my first time working with one of Jacob's patterns. Perfectly happy with that. Modern Folk Embroidery. This one I will show you where I was before. This is my January by the Cricut collection, Cross-Eyed Cricut Collection, and this is where I was last time you saw it. And this is where I am now. I have finished, last time I had half of the N done, probably, about half. This time I have finished the N. So the N is now complete. The little not rickrack, but the little zigzag border is complete. The vine, berry vine on the middle of the N is done. The bird is in. I even did a terrible French knot for his eye. But there you go. That is done. And this is being stitched on 28 count. I believe this is 28 count Lugana. Opalescent Lugana that I dyed in a sort of snowy, bluey violet, snowstorm kind of color. And I really love this. I do have February. I do plan on stitching all of the months, which is an ambitious project for me because I'm so slow. But I do plan on stitching all of the months. I do have February. I actually have one of the seasons too because I wanted to do the seasons. Yeah, this is going to be a years-long project for me. Unless doing the tracking makes everything go faster from here on out, and then it'll be only a few years instead of umpteen years. But yeah, again, this is January. The N and the U are done. I don't know if you can see that sparkle or not, but it's opalescent. It's very pretty and wintry, and I'm pretty sure I will have this done for January of next year, so I'm excited about being able to actually have it in a stand-up or a frame or something like that. Not sure. Probably a stand-up, but I might frame it. The issue with framing it is that or trying to put it on a changeable thing, is that the months are different sizes, obviously. January and February and November and December are very long months, as opposed to May and April and March, and June, those are very small months, not to forget July. So there's not really a frame I can put it in that they would all fit in. There's not really something I can attach it to that they're all going to fit on, so I may just make them all stand-ups or blocks and display them that way. The next piece I will show you is my Bands of Variation Stitch Along by Doreen Jones, hosted by Lakeside Needlecraft, and I will show you where it was last time you saw it, here. And this is where it is now. So you will see this is the January block, the green and yellow block. Boy, I have issues holding things straight. Like, I can show them to you, and that's not a problem, but holding them straight is difficult for some reason. Any rate, this is the January block. It is being stitched in, does that help you see the color more properly? I don't know. It is being stitched in DMC Variations floss, and I will finish this by the end of the month for sure. This is not a this will not be difficult to finish. I only have to finish, obviously, oops, over here. I only have to finish, and see, crooked, this side. So I'll finish that before the end of January, and I will still be on top of this. This is the first stitch along that I actually managed to stay on top of, or have been managing to stay on top of, and that's sort of my goal and my impetus for trying to stay on top of the other stitch alongs. 2 of them I can do, maybe 3. The linen and threads may be pushing it a bit for me, but we'll see. This is being stitched on 18 count white Aida. Obviously, you see I taped this. I don't do that anymore. I had a brief phase where I taped all of my fabric because it was easier than trying to figure out sewing or putting a hem on it or zigzagging it, and then I discovered that my machine actually does do an overlock stitch, so now I overlock my fabric. But then I was in the tape phase. Which, honestly, let me just say, I know it bothers people. I know that people have had issues with having gummy stuff on their fabric after they take the tape off. My solution to that is going to be to not take the tape off. When I frame those or make them into stand-ups or blocks or whatever I do with them, I will cut the tape off. Rather than trying to peel the tape off and then deal with the fabric that is sticky underneath, I'm just going to cut the tape off. So it should not cause a problem. But yeah, I know people have problems with it. I apologize if that not offends, if that bothers you or if you're troubled by tape on fabric. Okay, the next piece I'm going to show you, I will definitely show you a before picture. I will show you where I was on my Shakespearean fantasy project by Heaven and Earth and James C. Christensen. I was here last time you saw it. And I am now, can I do this without losing my needle? Yes. I am now here. So, this has been my, oh, see, not straight. This has been my, still not straight. Come on. Right. Anyway, straight enough. This has been my 100 Days of Hade project. I have not touched this for all 100 days. I did for a while. I was stitching on it every day. I was being a good girl and following along and, you know, following Portia's idea that if you just put in a little bit of time every day for 100 days, you will see that you've gotten a lot of progress. And that is true. I did see a lot of progress when I was doing that every day. Even if I was only stitching a little bit in the day, 70 stitches or something like that, I did see a lot of progress. But I have too many other projects, I have too many other things in my life, Magpie, as I have said, too easily distracted by other things. So I have not stitched on this every single day for the last 100 days. But, as you can see, I've still gotten pretty good progress. I am almost finished. When I started the 100 days, I had finished the first page, and I was probably 3/4 of the way through the second page. I am nearly finished with page 3. Nope, wrong hand. This, over here. This corner, there, straight, kind of. This corner is the bottom of page 3. So I'm almost done. There's a lot of black that has to go in there still, but I'm almost done with page 3. So I definitely will be done with that before the 100 days are up. We are on day 48, I think, today. So, almost halfway, but I will definitely be done with page 3. I may be done with page 4 if I put in a good amount of work on it. I don't know. I am stitching this diagonally, just like as you can see from the stair stepping. I am stitching it diagonally, as I said, but I'm not doing the pages diagonally. I am probably going to do the pages diagonally on other things from now on, but with this one I'm not, because I didn't start that way, and it just feels silly to try to finish that way. This is being stitched on 25 count cream Lugana. It's my go-to for Heaven and Earth and full coverage patterns because it is. But yeah, so progress on that. Let's see. Let me do that one last. The next project I have, I am again not going to show you because when I showed it to you last time, it was just a little corner of black. It is another Heaven and Earth design pattern. It is my only full-sized Heaven and Earth pattern so far. It is Cosmica by Jenna Della Grottaglio, and I don't know whether the Maldonado is still attached to her name or not, but I will insert a picture of what it's going to look like when it's finished here. And then I will show you what it looks like here. This is 2,400-ish, it's 2,450, but who's counting? 2,400-ish tent stitches in primarily black. Like I said, upper left-hand corner, black on a lot of my projects. It is stitched on 25 count Lugana, which again, my go-to for Heaven and Earth designs. This is being used in the Full Coverage Fanatics yearly by the numbers stitch along, which means that because I'm stitching in tent stitch, I have to do 2,400 stitches a month in order to qualify for the giveaway drawing at the end of the year. So, 2,450 or 2,450 is more than 2,400, so this is where I needed to be at the end of January. So obviously I've made it a little bit early. Will I stitch on her more before the end of the month? I don't know. If I finish my other stitch-alongs, then probably, yes. If I don't finish my other stitch-alongs, then no, she'll wait until February to be stitched on again. This is, as I said, my only full-sized piece. It's a pretty significant piece. It's not the largest, but it is pretty significant. But I felt like the design needed to be full-sized, so it's kind of a personal connection thing for me for some reason. So yeah, it needs to be full-sized, and it will be, and eventually it will be finished. It may be a few years. I'm hoping it's not too many, but it probably won't be finished by this year. maybe next year. We'll see. We'll see how much gets done. And the last piece I'm going to show you was another, well, not a new start. It's one of my projects for the Year of Whips for 2018. It is a project that I started many years ago and thought I had lost. Several years ago, I went looking for it and thought I'd lost it, and then I forgot about it entirely until I found it when I was going through my things. And it is a Teresa Wentzler pattern, and I will find a picture and insert it here, so you can see what it's supposed to look like when it's finished. Here. And this is what it looks like now. This is Sweetheart by Teresa Wentzler. She is one of the rocking horses, and she is the Valentine's themed rocking horse. I mean, as you can see by the hearts on the bottom, right there, they are not lives, gamers. they are hearts for Valentine's Day design. This is being stitched on a piece of some sort of linen. Obviously, I didn't hem it. I didn't serge it. I didn't overlock it. I'm honestly not sure what linen this is. I'm not sure where it came from. It is an example of why I don't like stitching on linen. I'm trying to see if I can find a place where I can show you why I don't like stitching on linen. Let me see if you can. No, you can't really see it. This little thing, this white block right here, that looks like a stitch, that's not a stitch. That is a slub in the linen. There are a couple of places in this particular piece that have pretty nasty slubs. There is a piece that actually works like a lever, so when I stitch, it flips open like a door and then flips back when I'm done. Eventually that will get stitched over and it will stop, but it annoys the heck out of me right now. And that's why I don't like linen. I can't handle the slubs. I just don't like them. Obviously, Sweetheart will be finished on this piece of linen because that's what she's on, and I can't change that now. I will say that I had quite a bit of trouble. And the only thing I stitched on this, newly stitched on it, is this stuff, the greenery that's in here. And that took me a very long time to do because I had to figure out where I was in the pattern, and I had marked in pencil on the original chart that I have, and I miscounted, and so there are mistakes in there, and yeah. It's going to be frustrating to finish, but it's going to get finished. This will very easily be finished by the end of the year. I'm hoping that it's finished by the end of February. Actually, I would like it to be finished by my anniversary, which is February 14th. I don't know if that's going to happen, but it is definitely going to be finished this year because it's just not that big a piece, obviously. And that is all of my stitching. I know you're all saying, thank you, because we're already 40 minutes in, or 45 minutes in, and yeah, I still have things to tell you. So, let me very quickly go ahead and show you my little bit of haul. I did order and get the last snowman in the snowman series of free patterns from Stony Creek. This is the winter snowman. This is what he looks like with the cardinal. And that is the entire pattern. So I have all 4 of them, though I still think the summer snowman is weird, I do have all 4 of them, so I can make the banner if I want to. I love seasonal things, so I may just make them stand-ups or blocks or something like that and display them as appropriate in the season, but who knows? I haven't decided for sure. I also have the buttons that go along with that pattern. They're hearts and tiny little glittery snowflakes. You don't really need to see them. The other thing that I got is another Teresa Wentzler pattern. As I've said before, I am a Teresa Wentzler fan. And Just Add Needles, which is a shop that Belinda, Aussie Stitcher, introduced me to. She is somebody who finds out-of-print patterns and then resells them to us, as in the case of things like Mirabilia and Lavender and Lace, or as often as she can when she finds an out-of-print pattern, she sells them as kits so that we are encouraged to stitch them and not simply buy them and then try to resell them again on eBay or Etsy or wherever. It's a fantastic idea. It's a fantastic service, and she has found a couple of things that I'm surprised she could find, and I'm really looking forward to seeing what else she finds, because she's got some good stuff. So it's Just Add Needles. I will add her information down below, so you can see my hand. But she had Romeo and Juliet. Now, since I bought this from her, my husband, who is always trying to find information to sort of poke at me about, I guess, my husband has found this for cheaper than I paid for it on eBay. So if you're looking for the pattern, you can find it on eBay. It does exist. You can still get it. I believe there's actually even a partial kit of it on eBay, or there was recently. But, yeah, Romeo and Juliet. So I'm a Shakespeare fan. I am a Teresa Wentzler fan. That is a perfect storm, kind of like the gargoyle and stained glass of Guardians of Notre Dame. Right, that's all of my haul. I have gotten my fabric of the month from Color and Cotton. I'm not going to show it to you. I like it a lot. I think it's beautiful. It's a beautiful deep teal color, and yeah, I really do love it. I'm not going to show it to you because I'm just not. I don't really have a reason other than I didn't feel like showing it to you. Anyway, I did get my fabric of the month. I did get my December floss of the month, thread of the month from her, which I tried to show you, which you have seen from many people. January's thread of the month is on its way, and if it is not here today, should be here tomorrow. So you will have seen that, or will see that very soon from other people. So I don't feel like I need to show those to you. Yeah, so that means that we can do fun things like go through the giveaways. So last episode was the first time that I started doing the giveaways, and I'm going to continue doing them. There were not a lot of people who signed up for them, but that's fine. We don't need to have a lot of people. If a lot of people aren't interested, then a lot of people aren't interested. It's perfectly fine. I have one thing that's going to the only person who asked for it. So, but if you see something that you want, just comment and let me know which one you want. I will give you the word to use, like Michelle Bendy Stitchy does. I will tell you, I didn't tell you last time, and I kind of feel guilty about it, because I think some of you were probably expecting like a weekly thing. I do my episodes every other week, every 2 weeks, so giveaways will be 2 weeks long. You will have, from the time that I do my video, or from the time you see my video when it's uploaded on a Wednesday, to the next, let's not say Wednesday, let's say until midnight of the Tuesday before. So, this week, you will have 2 weeks to get your entries in, to make your comments and tell me if you want something. Last time, you had 2 weeks, but I didn't tell you that, so anyway, enough rambling. I have giveaways. So the first one I want to, actually give away. I have them tucked over here on the side, and of course they're sticking together. The first one I want to give away is the flowers. I asked you to say, I would like to stitch the flowers. 3 people let me know that they were interested in stitching the flowers, and I did go on random.org and put them in lists and get the number generated and everything. And the person who got the flowers is, ta-da, Belinda, Aussie Stitcher. This is coming to you. So, I will comment on your comment. I will let you know that you have won the giveaway. I will also give you my email address. If you can email me with your address, I will get this in the mail to you. And again, this is going to come folded in an envelope, particularly because the Postal Service just changed the international shipping rules. So yes, these are going to come in flat folded envelopes. And hopefully that doesn't bother you. I said that when I gave them away in the first place, so you should be aware of that, but that's how it's going to come. The second one I want to give away are the fruits. This little collection of fruits with the apple and the pear and the plums and the cherries. Again, 3 people were interested in the fruits, and this is going to Sherry Hampton. These are going to you. So again, same deal. I will comment on your comments. I will leave my email address. Please get in touch with me and give me your address so I can get that shipped out to you. And the last one was the Lavender Biscornu. Looks like this. Ingeborg, you are the only person who asked for this, so this is coming to you. And yes, I still have your package because I am terrible and hermity sometimes. So this will go in the package with your book and not book. It'll go in the package with your other thing that I was going to send you, which is not a book. But yeah, so you will be getting the Viscorny pattern as well. So excuse me for leaning into the camera. Let me go ahead and get the next 3 patterns. So the first one I'm going to do is from the January 2010 issue of Cross Stitcher, and it is called Bath Time Fun because it stitched on a bathrobe, a child's bathrobe. But what it is obviously those cute little teddy bears and hearts. I thought it was kind of appropriate since Valentine's Day is approaching and people like teddy bears, right? So that is the pattern. It's just, I think it's just 2 designs. I think it's 2 teddy bears. No, it's 3. It's a band kind of thing, so, but you can take the pattern apart, obviously, and stitch it on whatever you want. So if you are interested in Bath Time Fun, you don't have to say bath time. Tell me you would like to stitch the bears. The next one I want to give away is, again, from Mary Hickmott's stitching magazine, New Stitches. The website is newstitches.com, but the magazine, I believe, is New Stitches, something like that. What's it called? I don't remember. It's Mary Hickmott's magazine, so most of the patterns in here are Mary Hickmott's patterns, including this one, which is called Tea Time Treats. And these are designed to be little teapot coasters that you can stitch up individually or stitch them all together on a project. It is your choice as to how you stitch them and what you do with them. But there's a series of teapots, and I am going to give them to somebody who's interested. Now, I will let you know, with this magazine apparently got wet at some point. So the bottom of the page is, if you can kind of see, it's wrinkly. It's water wrinkly. It's not dirty, there's no food on it, it's not smelly, it didn't stick together, nothing's going to flake off of it or fall off into your belongings. It's just a little wrinkly. So, just to let you know that. But if you are interested in stitching the cute teapots, hold it back here so you can see them all at once. If you're interested in stitching those, just say, I would like to stitch the teapots. Or teapot. You can use singular. I'll probably just search for teapot, so. And last but not least, and I saved this for last because I think this is one that many people might be interested in. What is it called? Hang on one second. It is called Puppy Love. It is a Margaret Sherry pattern. It is from the Cross Stitcher, I think. Yes, it is from the... Hang on one second, I have to cheat and take my glasses off. It's from the January 2009? Yeah, January 2009. My eyesight is so terrible. I had progressives and they didn't work, and now I have single vision and now I can't read. Yeah, anyway, I'm that age. It's from the January 2009 Cross Stitcher magazine. It is a Margaret Cherry pattern called Puppy Love, and it looks like this. Look at those puppies, they're so cute. I do not have a dog. I don't, or I would keep this. But I figured somebody wanted to stitch Margaret Cherry puppies. So yeah, if you would like to have this pattern, just say, I would like to stitch the puppies, or a puppy, or say something about puppies. Unless you don't want the pattern, then you can say something about puppies, but make it clear that you're not interested in the drawing. Does that make sense? Right. Anyway. So those are the 3 giveaways. Again, if you want the puppies, say, I'd like to stitch the puppies. If you'd like the teapots, I'd like to stitch the teapots. If you would like the bears, I'd like to stitch the bears. You will have until Tuesday before my next video. So 2 weeks There will be a video in 2 weeks. You will have until midnight Tuesday. If you flub it... Anyway, 2 weeks. You have 2 weeks to put a comment down below and let me know that you're interested in stitching one of those stitch giveaways. The last thing I want to do really quickly, and this is going to be about an hour-long episode, so I hope you had something to drink. I hope you were comfortable while you watched. I want to talk about the last book that I read, the last book that I listened to. The book is called Cast in Secret, and it is by Michelle Segarra. Now, I am a fantasy and sci-fi reader. I also read romance. I also wrote romance, but I am primarily a science fiction and fantasy reader. Mostly fantasy, more than science fiction. I do read science fiction, but mostly fantasy. So those are the kind of books that I am going to tell you about, most likely. I do occasionally read other things. Like I said, romance sneaks in there. I do occasionally read historicals. I read nonfiction every once in a while, but that's the kind of thing I read. So if you're not interested, you don't want to hear about it, you can go ahead and move on to the next video, and thank you for your time, and I will see you in 2 weeks. Cast in Secret is the third book of the Chronicles of Elantra series by Michelle Segarra. They are set in a fantasy world that has many races, but not races that you would think of. They are not fairies and elves and centaurs and that kind of thing. They are races that Michelle has come up with on her own. There is a winged race called the Aryans, and ignore the name if that bothers you, but they are called the Aryans. They are winged people. There are people with who are telepaths, who have tentacles, and they read people's minds and feelings and emotions with their tentacles. There are dragons. There are dragons in human form that do occasionally, and never for a good reason, but they do occasionally revert back to their dragon form. There are immortals all over the place. Most of the races in her books are immortal, and then there are the humans, of course, so that we can have a relatable character. Like I said, Cast in Secret is the third book in the series. It is centered around a human character who is she's basically a police officer in this world. She is a hawk, who are investigators, police officers in the courts of law. And her name is Caitlin Nea. Again, she's human, and she becomes involved in sort of a larger world-spanning, time-spanning prophecy sort of thing. She becomes a magic user. She becomes she's always been a magic user on the minor scale, but she becomes a more powerful magic user, and I assume that that continues into the series. There are many more books in the series. As a matter of fact, Cast in Deception, which I think is, well, Cast in Deception just came out yesterday, and that is the latest book in the series. At any rate, it's a very well-written series. It is a very engaging series. The person who is reading the audiobook's name is Christine Van. She is very talented. She reads quite a few series with female-centered series. She reads Faith Hunter's books. She reads the Cast in Chronicles of Elantra. She's read several other books that I've listened to, and I really love her. She is very good at doing all sorts of voices. Children, adults, elderly people, men. She actually manages to do men really well. So she is very talented. She reads a very well-written book expertly. So, this book had to do with a prophecy and defeating the bad guy of the book is somebody who essentially turned one race into slaves for another race. He set up the circumstances by which one race became slaves, more or less, to another race. And Kaylin's part in uncovering that, in understanding that, and in returning some missing children who are drawn into this bad guy's plot in order to try to destroy the world, destroy the city, to take power back again, as he did when he created this slavery situation. It's complicated to explain that to you without giving you a lot of detail. And without you knowing the worlds, if you have not read the books, if you don't know the worlds, then you wouldn't understand what I explained anyway, probably. But I will say, if you like fantasy, if you like watching humans sort of bumble around in the midst of ancient immortal creatures, you will probably like these books. If you like female-centered fantasy that is not written as though the female has to be the best, she has to beat everybody in order to be successful. I mean, Caitlin makes mistakes. She makes mistakes. She gets things wrong. She is told quite often that she's gotten things wrong, and she picks herself up and she goes on. Not necessarily gracefully, but she manages to get through it because she's the protagonist and she has to. But yeah, very well written. So if you enjoy those sort of books, you might want to pick up the first book in the series, which I will link in the notes below. And yeah, read it, listen to it. I enjoyed it. I gave it 4 stars on Goodreads, and I will read more books in the series. So the book I am reading right now, is called God Touched, and it is about a young man, I believe he is 23 years old, who has the ability to see and banish demons as they ride human bodies. When they take over human bodies, he has the ability to see them and defeat them. He gets involved with a group of vampires as a result of following a demon into a vampire club. He is a police officer, and I am probably a quarter of the way through listening to the book. So far, I think it's alright. I'm enjoying it. I don't know that it's, excellent writing, but the person who is reading the audiobook is pretty good. He does women and men, obviously, he is a man, but he does women pretty nicely. Yeah, and I'm enjoying it, so I will let you know about that when I finish it. And that's all I have to say, I think. Oh, one thing really quickly. I said this in my Bling With Me video on last week. There will be a Bling With Me video this week, by the way. I'm going to work on a different project, but there will be a Bling With Me video, so if you're watching those, you're interested in those, it's coming on Friday. I did say in my last Bling With Me video that I was an author. I've said it before in this video, in this episode. I am an author, was an author. I do have a website that you can go and check out if you're interested in urban fantasy. I will link that in the notes below as well. Vampires, I write about vampires and shadow walkers, and there's other stuff. So I am back to writing. I took a very long hiatus. I am back to writing, so there may be more stuff coming. Writing is not what you're here for, and I've talked for an hour anyway, so I'm gonna let you go. I will see you again in 2 weeks. Don't forget to comment if you're interested in any of the giveaways. I will comment on those of you who won from last time, and have great stitching time, guys. Bye!